Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Remember 11, The Age of Infinity. And last time, Yuni was acting very strange. He wasn't really wanting to answer our questions, so it would seem. I did this because when it loads up the next line, it reads it. So, for completionist sake, I thought I'd, why not? So, yeah, it wasn't really that big a deal to be able to hear that line read. But yeah, let's see what Yuni's deal is, if it even tells it. I mean, he may just, I don't know. These games, they muddle the brains. Yeah, this was the song towards the beginning. Can't remember specifically what. Crap. Something about Mr. Dawson. If you're watching this, feel free to put the explanation down in the comments. Can't remember exactly what something about. Supposed to be a monster behind you or something. Sorry. Supposed to be a monster or something behind you or something, and that's what the song is about. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I can remember. He was swallowed by the raging storm because, I mean, I know that if I want to go sing, I would prefer to do it in a blizzard where I would probably die. Actually, if I were going to sing, that's probably what most people would want me to do. People are mean. Yamugi rushed outside and caught Yuni, who was still standing in front of the cabin. Yamugi grabbed Yuni and returned to the cabin with him. To shut the door, I had to practically throw my whole body's weight against it. Yuni had his eyes closed. Had he lost consciousness? Yeah, I don't think it was. Yamugi laid the back of his hand against Yuni's cheek. He touched his neck and the area around his armpit. Yamugi gently laid Yuni down on the bed, a pained expression contorting his face. He shrugged his shoulders. He embraced the senseless Yuni and wrapped us up in the blankets. The limbs that we had painstakingly warmed up earlier were once again cold like ice. Meanwhile, Yamugi presented us with his own blankets, as he said. Well, that's good. Yamugi pointed at the wristwatch. Yamugi looked up at Mayuzumi's bed. At some point, she had fallen asleep. We could hear her weak breathing. Yamugi touched the nape of her neck. Is he checking her heart rate? He also placed his hand in front of her mouth to confirm that she was breathing. Yamugi reached out and started to rummage around Mayuzumi's bed. He was probably fixing her blankets. Then returned to my bedside. I held Yuni tight and closed my eyes. Is this Yuni really the Yuni from the future? I wanted to know, but he had run away. I can't ask him anymore. I don't want to burden him further. With my eyes closed, I buried my face in Yuni's hair. What is the truth? That newspaper isn't real. Can we stay alive? Lots of problems swept through my mind, but before long I fell asleep. Like that of a newborn baby, a deep, deep sleep. We don't beam away. Why are we not going to Spia that much anymore? We went through that entire... It's been a long time since we went to Spia. Oh, how much real time has passed? She came back during that blizzard. Well, the blizzard's not been gone really. But she came back when they were outside. That's what I meant to say. They were trying to go to the helicopter, which may not have even been real. And they came back. There's that whole thing where with the radio, the satellite phone. I was seeing with my Izumi. Did all that stuff happen one after another, or was there time in between the events? Yeah, and I had to get Yuni warm up, recovered from hypothermia that first time too. So yeah, there's been some time, and night came once again. So this has been a whole day, almost probably a whole full day, like just day, morning to night. It might be like almost a full 24 hours since the switch, and that's unusual. It's not true dead. Is that why there's no switch? But that doesn't make any sense, because at a prior point we came back and he was dead. They were like, Kokoro was like, okay, I'm ready for the switch. Oh dang. Nothing to switch to. That sucks. That was the first ending we got. We took turns sleeping until the sunset, but we could barely recover any of our strength. Our food, fuel, and water had been used up. The air inside the shelter cabin was so dry it was getting difficult to even breathe. Can't they drink some snow? What? Or, that might not be a good thing. That might be like a way to lower your body temperature, to be honest. Well, I don't know. Yeah, that might... maybe I'm overthinking it on that part. Yes, the air was so cold that breathing in made my lungs cry in pain. And when you breathed in through your nose, you felt as if the inside of it would freeze solid. If you sneezed, there would be bullet holes in the wall. No sickles. I'm sure there's probably like a really crazy superhero with that power. He sneezes and there's no sickles. Even though we had our coats on and even blankets draped over each of us, they were completely useless as protection from the cold. Couldn't stop my body from shivering like someone severely ill. It was difficult to even move my limbs. Okay, game break? Inside the shelter cabin, all conversation between us had stopped completely. We didn't so much as utter words. It's cold. Our discolored lips quivered intensely inside the small cabin and shrouded in darkness. Only the sound of our shaky breaths reminded us that we were still alive. Yuni, who is now asleep and cuddled beside Yomogi-san, looked almost as if he had stopped breathing altogether. We were at our limit. I had felt this way many times before, but it wasn't until now that I felt the reality of death drawing closer and closer. The god of death, known as Cold, had invaded the shelter cabin and was contemplating whose neck would be the first under his sky. Nose itchy. I need to clear out them nose sickles. I don't know if the phone call yesterday actually made it through, but even if it had, the rescue team probably wouldn't come for us in this blizzard. I breathed a sigh onto my frozen fingers. Are we going to freeze to death like this? Is there nothing we can do but sit here and shiver this way as we wait for death? To get caught up in this bizarre personality exchange phenomenon and die without understanding any of it? Yeah, we can't let that happen. Tried forcing my voice out, but as if to make sure I was still alive. But that voice cracked and faded away. I prayed for it in my heart, for hope, for the hope to live on. No matter how small it may be, I wished for a light to reach out to. I wished for a light to lead the way. The line sounds familiar. Yeah, where is that? That line sounds very familiar from something. Without it, we were all going to be crushed by the complete darkness that enveloped us inside this cabin. Seriously, why are they not burning that ladder? Maybe they don't have an axe. Seemed like there was an axe at one point that I saw. Maybe not, I can't remember. No, it wasn't at Sophia that I saw an axe. Countless hours passed. I don't know if the blizzard outside has subsided at all. The snow that had piled up on the roof fell to the ground with a loud thud. Suddenly, Mayuzumi's lips moved. When I heard what she said, I looked at my watch. I couldn't see very well because it was dark, but it looks like the hands have made their way back to 12 a.m. The newspaper had originally been placed on the shelf, but we had broken the shelf into pieces for firewood, and the newspaper had since been shoved under my bed. I reached down and grabbed it. Her voice was strong and determined, surprising from someone who looked so weak. Yuni, who had been sitting right beside Yomogi, shifted his body a bit and glanced over. For some reason, he looked annoyed. When she heard the question, Mayuzumi went quiet for a moment, but then she said, she muttered, to be honest, you guys probably should have burnt it earlier. And, I mean, they could probably burn a blanket or two. I'm just saying. I mean, they pretty much said it didn't help at all. His voice was strangely calm. Spatting off almost every hateful word in the book, Mayuzumi pulled the blanket over her head. But Mayuzumi's personality, it must be a pretty long book. Glancing over at Yuni as he continued mumbling, I opened the newspaper. I wanted to read it over once more under the moonlight, but the moon was hidden behind the clouds. Not even the smallest bit of light made it through the window. It was so dark that I couldn't read the article. Just as I was about to ask for a flashlight, I suddenly remembered something. I took out the VR from my pocket and turned it on and pushed the switch. The display on the VR lit up and shone faintly. I could use it for as a lamp. Another thing is, I mean, if they're going to die, I mean, they may as well, okay, nobody. I mean, the flashlight would produce a little smidgen of heat. I think I might have silenced it. Oh well. It wasn't anybody. Okay, where was I? Stupid phone. At least I don't keep it. The charger for the phone is right here on my desk. Always remember to throw it back there because I'm sure it would be quite loud. July 4th, 2011. 3 decomposed male and female corpses found on Mount Akakura. Missing passengers from the How crash. An article from the future telling us that we died. Yuni said the article was real. Before, I probably would have thought it was a joke and laughed it off. But things are different now. There's a chance that the Yuni inside this cabin is actually the Yuni of the future. That's why his words have gained more credibility. This article, it may actually be real. If Yuni has anything to do with Spia in 2012, it's not entirely impossible that he had brought this newspaper here. I don't know how he could have done it. I don't even know if he was the one who brought it here. But if the Yuni of the future is here, it's not all that strange that a newspaper article from the future is here as well. I really do come up with the weirdest ideas, but because I've repeatedly experienced the unbelievable phenomenon of personality exchange, I found myself considering possibilities that I normally find impossible. It's not that I believe them, but I've come to be able to consider it as a possibility. I've come a long way, haven't I thought as I smiled bitterly. Right now I wanted hope. The words in that article were words of despair. But if we think about it another way, I've actually come to gain more information about the hopeless future. The events that will happen today can be deduced from the article. It may even turn out to be a big advantage. Perhaps this was the ray of hope that I had been praying for. Don't want to just sit here and wait for death to come. If we're going to die anyway, I would rather keep fighting until I die. Get myself centered. I don't know. Afraid of the threat of nature. Afraid of our destiny of death. Afraid of our despair. Just a little hope is fine. Just enough for me to stand up and face death head on. I want parents and friends to look at my death afterward and say, Kokoro did her best. That is pretty grim thought. Giving myself a slight nod, I began reading the article. So as to absorb every word, every sentence I read on for my life. You know, of course it might be because he's a minor. But it is kind of interesting that they don't have Yuni's picture there. Although they did mention him, though I think I remember them mentioning him. So yeah. Anyway, not important. I don't think it's important. It might be important. I don't know. During the article for about 10 minutes, I noticed several very interesting points. I took note of a few of them. Nose is still itching. The bodies were discovered a kilometer east of the Mount Akakura shelter cabin. Due to the bodies of the victims being discovered away from the route down the mountain, the Aomori Prefectural Police investigation to the day of their death will continue. According to the Aomori Meteorological Station, an avalanche affecting Mount Akakura and its surrounding area occurred on January 17, 2011 at around 6:53. Oh crap! How's the time decided in Japan? Are they on like a 24-hour day thing? You know, where it's not like 12 to 12, then 12 to 12? Is it just like 1 to 24? Oh, good grief. What is the name of that? I think it has a kind of a name to it. I can't think of it though. UTC? Well, is that it? UTC? I like how I'm like, UTC? Thanks, guy. Random invisible guy on the wall. Yeah, is that it? I don't know what the UTC stands for. I guess T probably stands for time. But universal time code. Might be important. This article reveals that at 6:53 will be killed by an avalanche 1 kilometer east of the shelter cabin. Again, is that 6 hours? Almost 7 hours from this point? Or is that 7? Let's do math, Shook. Let's do proper math. Is that 6 or 7 hours from now? Or 18 to 19 hours from now? Something seems kind of suspicious here. So suspicious that even the police were looking into it. Why would we go toward a place like that? It's exhausting just imagining a 1 kilometer long hike through the snow-covered mountain. Besides, we're already at our physical limit. We're about to collapse at any second. So why would we head towards a place like that? In order to go down the mountain? But the article said we were away from the path down the mountain. Just in case, I turned to Yomogi to confirm it with him. So it's saying it didn't happen at the cabin. It's saying it happened. If something triggered it. What exactly was it saying? Was it saying that it affected the shelter cabin and the area around it, or the area away from it? Because I mean, avalanche is a pretty large event. It happened a kilometer away, you'd think the shelter cabin would be affected, so it may come down to a decision where we have to not leave the cabin. We might have to specifically be like, guys, stand here. We ain't going. Alright? Or something. So, Yomogi answered with a surprised look on his face. Look beneath the bed. The compass that was on the shelf should also have been moved under here. He took the compass in hand. The door of the shelter cabin faces south. According to Yomogi, the way down the mountain is to head straight ahead facing south. And since we have a compass, there's no way we would be confused about which direction we're heading in. It's baffling that we, who are trying to find a way down the mountain, would be found a kilometer east of our current location. Plus, how would we have hiked 1 kilometer in all this snow? I don't know if there is something at that particular location, but I do know what we were aiming for when we decided to go there. It was so we could be rescued. Right now, if it was me, I would do the same thing. To predict what we're going to do next, we just have to listen to our hearts. There's no mistake, the reason we were heading there was so we could be rescued. Because our biggest goal, our only goal, is to go on living. Another thing I was thinking, and apparently it was wrong at the time, but I was thinking that maybe that whole thing where Yomogi was like, whoa, we gotta go over there, helicopter. I was thinking that might have been what led to the thing, but then it was 7 days after the incident, after the plane crash. So yeah, it wouldn't have been, the times wouldn't have lined up, since we're getting this rejogged into our memory. And what exactly is there at the place where we were killed by the avalanche? Let's call it Location X. Because why not? 1 kilometer east of here. Why did we head toward Location X to be rescued? After thinking about it for a bit, I came up with one theory. It's because a decision, apparently. Anyway, decision is a good place to call an episode. So I do hope you folks enjoyed. I'm sorry for the interruption there. I try to keep this pretty interruptionless. But yeah. can't help the phones. Well, I guess I could be done with them, be like, no phones ever. But then I guess it could be bad. I don't know how to communicate. I do have a cell phone, but I don't trust it. It has horrible reception. Like in this, it's like this room is covered in lead. It's like it would be a very easy place to hide from Superman, apparently. If that is what it's made out of. But anyway, I do hope you folks enjoy, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Farewell there.